Hey guys, welcome to the Levelin Up podcast with Brigham Blackham. We have a very special guest today, actually two special guests today. My good friend Devin, my good friend Lyssa, but you go by Lyss. So we're going to start with Lyss. Now, today our topic is all about making a way. Now, we just came from a great retreat here in Wyoming, Centenial, Wyoming. Had a great time with the final percent. And instead of just talking about takeaways, I want to figure out what are you going to do with those takeaways to make a way.
I love that. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
We're excited to be here.
Yes, thank you very much.
One really small thing, but very practical. George was sharing this, that he isn't on his phone all the time. He's extremely present. Somebody said, how do you do that? And he was like, I check my phone for 20 minutes between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. every 3 hours. And so I'm going to create my own version of that. But that is, talk about making a way for your bandwidth, for your energy, for your art to come out. I'm an artist. And so having that space and that, he was a walking permission slip for me of, I'm allowed to do that. And so that was huge.
I love that. And it's not just like a permission slip for somebody else. You're like, I'm going to take that and I'm going to make it work for me. I'm going to make it happen today. So Devin, what about you? Tell me a little bit about what you've experienced today and what you're going to be doing to make a way for yourself.
I think for me, it's just, I need to go back and really kind of even take away some of the things that are distractions to me so that it gives me more time to make the way for the things that I need to. So I want to eliminate some of these distractions, some of these temptations that are kind of leading me away from my actual goals. And so I need to kind of make sure that I look into those, identify those, eliminate those, so I can have more time, more energy towards the things that I really need to. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the hustle and the bustle and doing things with friends and everything like that, or these temptations, or kind of being in with the crowd, and we get away from what actually we need to do to get to where we need to get to. I mean, we need to make some sacrifices, and I don't think sometimes we make as many sacrifices that we need to, and that's why we end up not actually getting to the goal. And we think, hey, we're working hard, but sometimes if you can kind of just eliminate some of these little things, that could be the key component to actually getting to where you need to get to.
I love that. Now, one of the reasons I even brought this topic up is because one of my favorite concepts in Chinese is "有办法," which means there is a way. And it comes from a scripture, actually, in Moroni 7:33. It says, and if you have faith in me, you shall have power to do whatsoever thing is expedient in me. It's talking about Christ, right? So when we have faith, to not just think about what we want to do, but to take action, because faith is a principle of power. When we take action on the things that we intend, eventually those intentions become real. They become something that change our lives. And you may have heard, hey, the road to hell is paved on good intentions. When you take an intention and you say, I'm not just going to pretend like this is going to happen, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to make a way. You're creating space. Just like you said about what George said. He absolutely will say, all right, for 20 minutes of this next 3 hours, I'm going to be very intentional. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to be responding with video, letting people know I care about them more than anybody else possibly could. Any DM that someone sends into me, I'm going to make sure that I respond and let them know how much they care. But it's on his time, not on theirs. And I thought that was really, really clever because he put such strict boundaries. Now, you get to choose your path, right? Every single one of us get to choose our path. We get to choose the way that we go. And I wanted to actually ask you guys a little bit deeper. When you think about how this can make an impact in your life, there's an expression in Chinese, 失之毫厘, 差之千里. The difference of a hair can be 1,000 miles if it doesn't go corrected. What have you experienced in your life? We're going to start with you, Lyss. That are like micro changes that have created macro gains.
Before I answer that, did this man just say that your intentions become your reality? That was so profound. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Micro changes. I think one of the biggest pivotal little teeny tiny things that happened was that I got obsessed with the question, what if I don't? And that question became like a North Star for me, and it became obsessive, and it needed to be obsessive, right? It caused me to pull the plug on the 9 to 5. It caused me to start the business. And that one little podcast that I heard one day driving to work, hey, what if you don't do this? That whisper of you're made for more became a yell in my soul. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal, right? And we were talking about this the other day too. To decide is to cut away. Yeah. And in that moment I had decided something. And so that thought became a catalyst and became a thought that I would circle back to when I was tired, when I didn't feel like it, when it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Hey, what if I don't though? And that, yeah.
And I love how Sharon Lecter says this, why not? A lot of times people are talking about, well, what's your why? And she even goes even deeper and says, why not go and do it? I think anytime that we have something that we truly believe in, I mean, to the core, we're convicted. When we take the actions necessary to make those changes, we incrementally become the person that we wanted to all along. And it was inside us the whole time. It's almost like when you're chiseling away at a marble statue, right? Those little chisel marks, they hurt in the moment, but those little decisions that we cut away and we chip away, they reveal our character. So it looked like you had one of the things. Go ahead.
There's just so much freedom in that, right? When you're making those decisions and you're actually being decisive, it creates the path of your life in the way that you desire it to go. And my aunt is very full of personality. She always says, like, somebody has to do it. Why not make it you? And so, like, currently I'm developing this new offer with road trip creation and content. And it's like, well, somebody's got to take them on a road trip and do content. Like, why not make it me? And so really embodying that, what if I don't, in a new level.
I love that. Okay, Dev, your turn.
Yes, so
and talk about chisel, just saying, this guy is like about as ripped as you get. He has been helping me on my health journey. So excited to continue that journey with you.
Yeah, you've done great, man. I'm so proud of you. And I mean, when I say jump, you say how high, and it's awesome. You're the perfect client for a coach. You
Thank
really
you.
are, so I appreciate that. Yeah, for me, it's I get stagnant. Sometimes I stay I think about the past too much and what I need to change there, or the future and the direction I need to go, rather than just making that step and just doing it. I kind of had this like little analogy, and it kind of reminded me when I was a kid, because I was really scared of heights, and we would do some cliff jumping when we were kids. And you go up to the cliff and you kind of look at it, and you look over the bottom and everything, and you're like, you start scaring yourself a little bit, rather than and you start looking at all the negatives, everything that could go wrong, and the bad things, or this and that. And instead of just having faith and just leaping and jumping and letting the rest take care of itself, you scare yourself out of something that could be fun, or an opportunity, or something like that, and you stay stagnant, rather than just kind of doing that one micro thing. And then maybe you fail, but you learn something from it, and it makes you more confident to do the next thing and the next thing. It's a breakthrough right there. Because if you're stagnant and you don't do anything, that's failure. But if you try, you're never failing.
Okay, I've got a little cliff jumping story for you, because you brought it up. I have to share it now. Okay, so this was one that was my brother-in-law. This is why association is so important. He was with some of his stupid friends. They were like, let's go cliff jump, but they didn't check the water, how deep it was before they jumped. Right? You gotta check the water first. So he jumped in first, because that's what you do, and he broke his leg. He broke his leg. And like, it wasn't like a crazy high jump, but it was one of those that he wasn't supposed to be doing it at that time. He didn't like have permission from his mom. And you're like, you think about it, just because that action could be super fun, you also need to weigh the consequences. Yes. Every single time we make a choice, there's consequences. It's like picking up a stick. You pick up one end, do you pick up the other end? What do you think? Absolutely. You pick up one end of the stick, there's no way to not pick up the other end of the stick. Okay. Right? So there's consequences that are natural. Like, he jumped off, he's like, yeah, that was so much fun, and then he rode, and bam, broken leg. You're like, oh, shoot, that sucks. Ow. And you're like, no, shoot, how do I get to a hospital now?
Yeah.
Then you got a challenge. Mm-hmm. And sometimes in entrepreneurship, in life, we do make choices, and we try and have to build that parachute on the way down. We have these things that we have to figure out, and we have to make a way. And often we don't see past obstacle one. I love how Jay Massey says this. He says, when you're rafting, you don't have to worry about the fifth or 10th turn down the way. You need to worry about the rock that's right in front of you. You need to worry about the turn that's right in front of you. And often, I think that's what keeps people out of the game. Is you're like, well, I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. Nope. Nobody has all the answers.
Thank God, right?
Yeah, thank goodness. Oh man, we'd be so overwhelmed. Like, okay, I've got all 15 of these turns calculated. Every single rock where I need to be. Like, man, sometimes we have to let go of certain things and that control, and say, I know that I can do this today. I can take this first step, and I can take that next step. And as the challenges arise, we say, instead of I'm going to focus on that challenge, you're going to say, how do I Get past this one, or over it, or around it, or through it. Dev's got something. Oh, I see it in his eyes. Go ahead.
There's this, I think David Goggins said this, and he said that the person that loves to walk and just taking that next step, rather than looking at the distance, the person who loves to walk is going to walk a lot further than the person who knows the distance.
Yeah.
So you're just enjoying the process and learning and taking that one step that can get you towards that goal. And that's where it starts. You can either, Greg said it the other day, and I've heard this quote, it's either someday or day one.
Don't drop the mic, but that was a drop the mic moment. Right. Boom! All right, sound effect now. That's good. And just to summarize all this, guys, what, if you could say, is that one thing that you feel has made all the difference in your life to this point? If you could say, hey, this is the encouragement for any entrepreneur, anybody, they're like, man, this has made such a difference that if you do this one thing, you can make a way for yourself.
I think having movement to your mission, and so that requires clarity, but the prerequisite there is knowing what mission you're on, right? Getting still long enough to go, what direction do I want to go? And answering the question, what am I creating? What am I doing? What? Long enough to get to the how. What vehicle am I getting in order to achieve this mission? And that's what I mean when I say the movement is, we've all heard somebody who's got a really good mission and no vehicle for you to climb in and do it with them. It falls flat. And we've all heard people who have a great vehicle with no mission, and it falls flat too. And so you need both a vision, values, and a vehicle. All three of those things together, sitting still long enough to create that and extract that. It doesn't come from external, it comes from internal. And so someone told me, a mentor of mine, hey, Lyssa, you're always in motion. I want you to go sit still longer than you've ever sat still, and I want that to become a practice for you. And we worked our way up to something like 60 minutes of complete stillness, no phone, no nothing, which isn't that long, but it's long to do nothing. And in those silent sessions, things would come through that didn't otherwise have room to come through, and there's so much power there. So sit still.
I love that. Okay, Dev, bring us home.
Yeah, mine is just being present. I think really good things start happening when you're present. I kind of said this the other day when we were out there hiking, that you want to kind of you want to look into the past a little bit and learn from that, but you do not want to dwell there. You want to look into the future and have direction and know where you're going, make sure you're going towards your goals, your dreams, but you want to live in the present. And that's when you're at your most dangerous in a good way, because you're actually getting stuff done. That's when action happens. If you're living too much in the future, then you really are kind of analyzing too much. And in the past, you're a little bit depressed, or maybe you're kind of, same thing, even overanalyzing things, rather than just, all right, know those things, see those, attack those in the present, in the moment. And that's what's key for me, is just making that move, living in the moment, living in the present.
I love it. Thank you so much. Guys, this is going to conclude part 1 of Make a Way. Thanks so much for being on today, man. It was such a pleasure to chat with you guys.
Thank you so much, man. This is awesome. This is my first podcast, so thank you very much. It's an honor to be on your podcast for my very first one. So.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, what a jam sesh. I love it.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I love you guys more.
Love you more.